Hi, this is Johnny, your friendly local realtor. Right now, as we're in the midst of second wave of COVID-19, I hope you're taking all the necessary precautions to keep you and your loved ones safe. It is imperative we do this not only for our safety, but also for the quicker recovery of our economy. Okay, so what's been happening in our economy and the housing market for the last couple months? Well, our economy is definitely in the upward trajectory like the leading experts had projected with a V-shaped recovery. As a matter of fact, we are recovering faster than what was originally projected. And despite the second wave of COVID, our economy is still in the recovery phase. But there's a sobering news. The permanent unemployment numbers are on the rise. So today, we're going to look in depth to where we are in the recovery and how the current unemployment numbers are going to affect our economy and the housing market. Let's start off with looking in depth to unemployment issue. The original consensus was that we'll be adding around 3 million jobs in June, but in actuality, we added 4.8 million jobs, almost 50% more than what was projected. These are jobs that are coming back after they were lost due to shutdown. And if you look at the jobs that are coming back, 2.1 million are in leisure and hospitality, 740,000 in retail, because more and more people are coming out to shop again, 568,000 in education and health services, and more in manufacturing, professional services, construction, and so on. Obviously, if you look at this graph, you'll see that huge numbers of jobs have come back for leisure and hospitality. And this is really good news because, FYI, current recession is mainly service industry-led recession. And let's look at this graph by Bureau of Labor Statistics. In June, we are seeing 11.1% unemployment rate. We saw unemployment numbers rise in March and April, but we are now seeing that numbers dropping for May and June. And we expect to see that trend continue as we move forward. And since we're so focused on unemployment numbers, we forget to realize that 89%, 9 out of 10 people are still employed. Now, so far so good, but here comes a sobering fact. We are seeing more numbers of permanent unemployment rising as we move forward. Definitely a reflective to numbers of businesses that are still being closed due to prolonged closure. And this is how Wall Street Journal summed this up. US job growth surged last month, underscoring the economy's capacity for a quick rebound if businesses continue to reopen and consumers regain confidence. A recent COVID spike, however, could undermine trends captured in the latest jobs report. As temporary unemployment drops, permanent job losses keep rising. A core unemployment rate, which subtracts temporary layoffs and adds unemployed who didn't search for a job recently, jumped to 5.9% in June from 5% in May, according to Indeed economist Jed Kolko. Okay, so let's look at this core unemployment rate graphically. So as we see overall unemployment rate dropping, we see core unemployment rate rising since April. Current rate compared to the core rate back in April 2010 on the left, we are right now about halfway where we were in 2010. This is something that we have to continue to keep our eyes on, and it raises a lot of questions like, how is this unemployment going to affect the economy and the housing market? Despite mortgage forbearance that was enacted to help people survive current economic storm, wouldn't people that are unemployed ultimately file for foreclosure? Now, Black Knight brings us good insight in regards to this. From all the mortgage forbearances, 77% have at least 20% equity in their homes. And again, by looking at the graph, you see that 90% have at least 10% equity in their homes. So what does this mean? Let's say you have $400,000 home and you have 20% equity on it. That's $80,000. Wouldn't you sell that home before you allow it to go on foreclosure? That would be a common sense, wouldn't it? Because this is how Black Knight summarized their report. The high level of equity provides options for homeowners, policymakers, mortgage investors, and servicers in helping to avoid downstream foreclosure activity and default-related losses. Now let's talk about what's happening in the current housing market. Through recent survey, vast majority, 87% of the sellers are concerned that their homes won't sell because of the pandemic and resulting economic recession. This is understandable, but just in the last month of June, 372,000 homes sold in the US. And if you look at this showing time graph, you can see that since we started reopening the economy, the demand for viewing homes have skyrocketed. This is Zillow's report from beginning of July. The newly pending sales are up 18.8% month over month, and new listings taken are up 5.2% month over month. But here's an interesting fact. the total listings are down 21% year over year, and new listings taken are down more than 16% year over year. So what does this mean? It means that since the activity came back into the market, there just aren't enough inventories to meet the demand. This graph brings a good summary. This is year-over-year change in listings. As you see, as the new listings continue to grow, the total listings are decreasing, meaning as the inventories come into the market, it's quickly being sold. This is a sign of heavy demand in the market. And this is from the Z report. The current inventories as a percent of households is half of the long-run average. The long-term average is 2.4, but right now we're sitting at an all-time low at 1.2. And all this leads to the inevitable question: what's going to happen to the home prices as we move forward? And this is what the experts are saying for this year and years ahead. We see on top, Home Price Expectation Survey is saying there will be a slight decline for this year, but other 5 experts are projecting otherwise. They're all agreeing on appreciation, 3 of them even agreeing on over 3%. And of course, this price appreciation is going to be driven by supply and demand. I would like to close today with this phrase by Mark Fleming at First American. As we navigate the unprecedented impact of COVID-19, home has taken on added significance, and there are signs that home ownership remains one of the main tenets of the American dream. Yes, home ownership is the quintessential part of the American dream. We live in a free country to own, lease, occupy, enjoy, and will a property as we like. But this, with other freedoms we have, demands responsibility. Politics aside, now is the time for us to come together in unison to fight and overcome the adversity in front of us. Because when we cooperate and come together, not only can we overcome COVID, but we can achieve some incredible things. Because that's what America is known to do. Till I see you again next time, I hope and pray you and your loved ones stay safe and sound. Goodbye.